ask yourself if you're feeling the muscle that's intended. I feel like that's a big thing people miss when they're starting to get into progressive overload. They're just moving weight, or even on the negatives. I was just explaining to Nikki yesterday, we're doing like real slow negatives on a leg press. And I said, now make sure when you're going slow, you're not just going slow. Do you feel your quad being what's resisting the negative? That matters. I love feeding trolls sometimes, Ron. I enjoy it. Like sometimes I'm like, I just lean back and I'm like, this is going to hurt you more than me. I had a guy like go back and forth with me for a while and I was just like annihilating him. And I started to feel bad. And then someone else commented literally like, you're going back and forth and people are just watching. And then finally a guy commented, he's like, bro, you have got into a battle of wits and you are completely unarmed. That was literally his response to this guy.
That's funny.
I was like, this is getting ugly and people are starting to feel bad. I guess I'll stop. Donna, your anger. Why are you so angry?
Dogs read the personality of their owners, and she's
she
getting
doesn't
really
like that he's picking on Cuba. You like it, like her little neck thing?
It's cute.
Oh, Donna.
I just can't. I don't anymore at all.
You're probably better off,
I'm really good at resisting. I resist. Sometimes I want to add a comment to something, like I'll watch something and I'm like, yeah, fuck, I really want to, and I'll want to add a comment, but I'm like, don't.
Yeah,
don't even add a comment anymore.
Yeah,
unless it's like 100%. Like I added a comment the other day on this one guy's guitar channel just because I thought he did like a great job at demoing a product.
Yeah,
because like you see people do product demos and you're like, damn, he didn't do the one thing I wanted to do. The one thing I would use
watch that whole thing
get
for one piece.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And this guy just like, he did a great job. And I thought, oh, damn, I'm going to watch all of this guy's videos. Like, this is the guy that I'm going to go to for product reviews now. Cause I like how, he has one camera on the pedal at all times. So you can see where the knobs are.
Yes.
And then he'll like move the knobs and you'll see his hand come into the frame, move the knob, and you'll hear the sound change while he moves the knob. Whereas other guys will stop playing, move the knob, and then go back to playing. And you're like, no, I didn't hear it change.
Yeah.
Like I want to hear Dusty. You get what I mean, Dusty? Like instead of hearing it.
Totally.
Yeah. And this guy does that. Like he'll let a chord ring. And with his other hand, while the chord is playing, like, wow, he'll turn the knob. And you're like, okay. And then he'll do it again and then turn the knob. And he's repetitive because he plays the same thing over and over as he's demoing the product.
Yeah.
So you can
Whereas other guys will they'll play a certain style of music to show, like one of the tones. Then they'll change the tone and they'll play a different style of music. I'm like, no, I want to hear the same fucking thing.
Right.
Like,
play the same song for every single one.
Yeah, and you develop your preferred people. You know what I mean? And I'm like, this is my guy. So I left him a comment. I'm like, you're my guy for products now.
Did he get back to you?
Coming straight to your channel.
Did he comment back?
Yeah,
good
he
man.
commented back. You know what I mean? And I was like, and he responds. Okay, so that's kind of cool.
You know what's weird is I haven't been twice now. This is actually exciting. I just realized this. In the last year, I've become a novice at two things. And I love it. Because I've ridden motorcycles, for example, my whole life. Like, I got my first dirt bike when I was 4.
Yeah.
And I got my first Harley when I was 15. Like, I've always ridden them, but I never, delved into them. And now that I want to, I have mine and I want to build it up and make changes. I also want to build one. So I'm, getting into them. And I don't know shit. I don't know anything about him. I don't even know where to look to find out about him. So I have a friend. I had to reach out to him, and I said, hey, do you mind if I ask you a few questions? And he's like, oh, absolutely. And he works for Harley. And he knows those shit. I go, I'm going to make this simple. Where should I go watch everything I need to learn? Because if not, I'm going to need to speak to you for the next month and a half over text. Starting right now and nonstop. So he sent me a few just that YouTube videos so I could really get into, because there's a lot of things that you don't realize, especially for dumbasses like me, where you put yourself in a position in life where you don't know enough and you can waste a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like you're like, oh,
Yes.
this is the, oh, there's this engine that's a 131. It's the biggest one. That's what I want to get. I actually said that to him. I said, I think I want to go to the, get mine changed up to 131. He goes, that's expensive. And you can make a 117 stronger than a 131 for less money. I'm like, that's why I fucking messaged you.
That's my
because a guy like me walks straight to the shop and goes, I want to do that. And I'm like, okay, dumbass, give me 10 grand.
I have a gun guy. That I do the same thing. When I was going to get my first pistol, well, not first, but for my carry pistol, I was going to get a revolver, and I talked to him about it, and he said, yeah, you don't want that. But I thought all the good reasons why I wanted that revolver, and then since then he's become my guy for questions. But I try not to bother him too much. Shout out to Peter.
That's great though, isn't it?
Kind of fun though,
like
when you got someone that gives you advice.
Yeah.
I really enjoy not knowing stuff though. Like I sit around and I did cardio this morning, and all I did was watch YouTube videos about motorcycles the whole time. I was like, I could have done an hour, no problem today, because everything I'm hearing I've never heard before in my entire life.
Yes, it's brand new. Isn't that a great feeling?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because bodybuilding, it's like you don't talk about it because it's all you do. Yeah. That's why our show is not about bodybuilding at all.
I think that's why. I think that's why I enjoy my two hobbies so much, because I can constantly still learn. I'm still picking up like lingo and those little like the things you hear guys talk about, and you start to like read through the code. Like I can look at a flatland, like BMX flatland post now with like two guys from the 90s.
Yeah.
And they'll be telling a story like, oh, remember that time, blah, blah, blah. And they'll list guys by their first names. Like, remember it was Danny and Dave and John. And I'm like, oh, they're talking about this guy, and this guy.
Yep.
And they must have been, and you start to like understand all the stuff that's going on, and it makes it fun. And there's like so much more to learn, and the history and all that stuff, and products like Dusty will relate to this. I'm like a super, like I'm a tech guy. Like I love the gadgets.
Really?
Like I love the bike parts.
Oh,
like when I see another flatland rider, I'm like, oh, what frame are you riding? What are your hubs? What are your rims? And I got to like break his bike down. Like, oh, he selected these parts. I know what website he shopped off of.
Yeah.
He's off that one website that carries those 3 brands. He built his bike off that website, and I want to put it together.
Yeah.
I want to figure it out. Right. And then when I see like when I walk into the guitar store, I go look at all the pedals. I'm like, I'm going to try a pedal I've never listened to before. And, I plug it in, want to hear what it sounds like. And like, they all sound almost the same, right? Like distortion pedals are all distortion pedals.
Right.
Like, you get the wine drinkers out there. They're like, oh, I can hear there's like a little bit more fuzz in the treble, and there's a little bit less bottom end. And there's
look at bodybuilding. And they take people outside of the sport. Yeah. Like they're all big. They're all giant.
Right,
they all look the same.
And then there's that whole spectrum from there, from the they all look the same to the intricate physique breakdowns.
Yes.
And there's that whole spectrum in the middle. Yeah. And I'm like just in that early stage now where I'm like, I can hear the differences of some things, but other things I'm like, they all sound the same.
It's a good place to be. Keeps you young, keeps you learning.
Yeah. It's fun. So
I feel like that's the thing that you had said, Ron. I think it might have even been last year, but to challenge yourself to try new things.
Yes.
And it's really fun to be at that point. And the only thing that I get a kick out of is the amount of people who want to present themselves as experts when they're novice. It's very funny to me. Like I'm so open. Like I'm like, I don't know shit about anything. I think what's the thing? I don't know fuck about shit. Like, so, I literally will come in. Yeah. I'm like, I don't know anything here. And then I find that people quickly then give you information.
Yeah.
If you just drop it and you're like, dude, I have no idea.
Because
here's what I'm thinking. And they're like, oh, I remember when I was where you are. Let me help you out, Yeah. So
they're excited.
It's definitely fun. I see what you meant though, Ron. Like I found a guy today, actually. So I'm getting into like the history of motorcycle clubs, like the gangs of motorcycles.
Yeah.
I found a dude who collects all their stuff. I mean, we're talking, he has old pictures of like 70s Hells Angels guys that died. And I can't even imagine what his collection costs. But
He's
I
got
mean,
all the
I'll send you the
books and
link.
all that stuff.
Oh, it's nuts. And their own like handwritten journals
Wow.
about when the club started to lose. I mean, it's so funny. It's like SOA for real. Like when they're like, oh, this is when we started to lose our shit a little and started killing people. And, you know, it's just
That's
wild to me because you're looking back and you're like, this is really how it was. Like it started out as something. And it's like people who collect. I know that like serial killers are really popular for collectors.
Yes.
Like things they do.
Yeah.
So this is the same, only at least I feel a little better. They're not like killing random people; they're just killing each other. But it's it's wacky to see. Yeah,
Right,
as far as I know. I mean, one of them might be. Who knows? But you do. It just becomes like a rabbit hole thing. Like last night, I spent like an hour and a half just looking at this guy's stuff and watching his videos. I'm like, I mean, how does someone know to reach out? Like this guy's wife just reached out and she's like, I found a trunk of all my husband's stuff. He was the president of this charter.
Right.
I want to sell it to you. And he's like,
yeah.
He's balling out of his mind. Obviously, I have no idea what all that shit costs, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah. I've read a few of the books. Those like books about the 70s, like the California stuff and the New York stuff. And I've read a few books. And I read Chuck Zito's book.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys know who Chuck Zito was? Yeah, I read Chuck Zito's book, Street Justice. Yeah, I read his book. He's a real interesting dude. So yeah, that was a cool book. I met him too. He's at the Olympia one year.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I don't know. Were you with me, Dusty? Because it wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
I was like leaving the Olympia and Chuck Zito's standing there in like a leather trench coat.
Really?
You're like, wait a minute.
Yeah. And I look at him and when you're like, you look at someone and you give each other the hey nod you've never met before.
Yeah.
But they still just, for some reason, there's like a moment where they say, hey, bro. And you say, hey, bro.
Yeah.
So I kind of like looked at him and we both said hi to each other. And I'm like, oh, well, like just we just said hi to each other. I might as well stop and talk to him for a minute. So I just like shook his hand and go, hey, Chuck, fucking, watched you on TV and everything like that, because he was in a couple TV shows. So, he was a cool guy, he was a karate champion too.
There's a lot of those guys. I found one last night and I wish I knew his name because I literally was just skimming, but this guy was a big in one of the big, I think it was Hell's Angels. He ended up in witness protection, lived his whole life. Then he died. And when they went into his stuff, that's when they found out who he was. And they found all of his stuff. And this guy actually ended up buying it all. But it's like, yeah, he lived like 20 years under a different alias and no one had any idea. But then when he died and they clean out his shit, because I guess he didn't have any family or anything at that point, they found it all. And they're like, holy shit, this guy that works at the supermarket was
right.
Damn.
It's so cool.
Speaking of like real life stuff, Scott, you reminded me to watch Woodstock, that train wreck.
Oh, yeah. You watched that.
Train wreck Woodstock. So we watched the first two last night.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like, I forgot about Limp Bizkit on Saturday night and how Fred Durst like made it so much worse.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not like, I remember watching it and I was like, oh, in hindsight, like it's not Fred's fault.
No.
Fred was doing his job.
Yeah. That's
like,
what he did.
Fred's job is to be the front man of Limp Bizkit and blow the fucking doors off the joint. Like that's his job.
And
that's
he did his
all
job.
He knows how to do.
Probably the best he's ever done it that night.
The best he's ever done. He just, like he was handed a crowd. He was handed an angry, frustrated, heat-stroked, dehydrated, pissed off crowd that was in the very end of day 2, who have all realized that the wheels have fallen off this festival. They've realized the garbage is not being picked up. They've realized the toilets are not going to be cleaned. They've realized they're completely on their own.
They're screwed for water and food.
Screwed for water, screwed for food, and the festival's almost 2/3 over.
Yeah.
And it's now time for Limp Bizkit. And Limp Bizkit comes out and sings and Give Me Something to Break. and fucking Fred Durst just keeps pumping them up. The guitars come down for the little break, and Fred Durst is like, let's get all that anger.
Yeah.
Let's build all that anger. Let's get it all out. When I fucking drop this, when we drop this fucking beat, you fucking let it out. Like, he just gets the crowd boiling.
Everything that you've been angry about, that girl
everything
that broke
that you've
your
been
heart.
angry about.
Yeah, all of that.
That boss you
dig
hate.
down deep.
That fucking bring it out. And then the beat, give me something to break. And then it just fucking drops. And then they rip the fucking sound booth apart, the sound tower out in the middle of the thing. The people working in the sound tower send an SOS. They're like, we need someone to come and get us out of here. Like, we can't get out of here. They're ripping the tower apart. Like, they're worried. So, a bunch of security guys go out there and they like bring them over the wall of the tower and get them out of there. And they like abandon the sound tower and they rip it apart, pull the plywood off the walls,
It was wild.
Yeah,
man.
it was just, and all the fires, like cars on fire, and they flip cars over and shit. Like, it was nuts what they did. Yeah. And then the funny part was, the organizers finally said, like, I guess Limp Bizkit had only been on for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And the promoter's like, they're done. Like, we got to pull Limp Bizkit. So when the song ended, whatever song they were on, they like told Fred, they're like, that's it. The set's over. And he was like, okay. And they walked off stage, and then Bush had to go out. And Bush is like a great rock band, but they're like, he's a heartthrob. They're not they're not Limp Bizkit, right? It's like good looking Gavin singing about, So Gavin has this, it's really cool. Like, they interview Gavin. He's like, there's two ways to do this. Like we can either go out there and just get booed off stage because we don't know how to handle that. Like, they're like, what is Gavin going to do with this crowd? Cause it's really hard to do. Like, what do you do with them? Mm-hmm. And Gavin went out and he like restored peace and love somewhat.
Yeah.
Somewhat.
He like,
I was very impressed. I was very impressed with how he did that.
In hindsight. Yeah. He got the crowd to like calm down and just listen to the music. And he kept telling them, like, in between songs, like, the peace, love, and unity of Woodstock is all here tonight. And he just kept like calming them down. And then they play another song. And it was very interesting how they presented it in the documentary. So, and then, in the rave tent that night, Fatboy Slim had to abandon his tower and leave because that didn't go too well. Yeah. And, so we'll see how day 3 goes. I don't think it improves any. So
spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Yeah. I didn't mean to ruin it, but I just really enjoyed that.
Week.
I really enjoyed the remembering everything, because I remember watching the updates on TV, like the Much Music channel up here in Canada had like someone on site, reporting back and all that. So
Victoria pointed those people out. Like, I didn't know who they were, the Canadians.
Yeah.
And there
Rick
was one
the Temp.
Yeah. And there was one that was a sock. There's a sock that was on
Ed the
stage.
Sock.
Yeah, Ed the Sock. She was like, it's Ed the Sock. And I was like, who the fuck is Ed the Sock? And so she told me
He's
all about him too.
Ed the Sock's a asshole, right? Like, he'll interview people. He's like, so your new album fucking sucks. Like, he'll and people would put up with him because it was funny.
I'm learning all sorts of Canadian stuff, though. Like stuff I didn't know.
Trivia.
I got a couple questions for you guys, because these are words that I wasn't familiar with that Victoria was. Beaking. Are you familiar with the term beaking? Either of you?
Like running your mouth?
Running your mouth, or chirping?
Chirping. Yeah.
Chirping.
Okay,
because those are
buddy.
Those
That's
are
a
both
hockey thing.
Yeah, both hockey things, I guess. And schmelz. Are you familiar with the term schmelz?
No.
I've heard it. I wouldn't use it though. What does it mean?
It's like the newbies on the hockey team that get like reamed out all the time and stuff.
Schmelz. Okay.
Schmelz.
Okay.
Never even heard that in all my years.
Yeah, I thought you might have, but I wasn't sure. I guess it's a Canadian.
So it's like a jobber in wrestling.
Yeah.
A jobber.
Right. There you go.
Yeah. That's a good one. I like that.
They had a bunch of stuff on there. I'm trying to
there was an Instagram account I used to follow. It was all hockey fights.
Oh,
and it was called Keep.
I still follow that.
Was it called Keep Chirping?
Keep
I can't
chirping.
remember. Keep chirping, buddy, or something like that. And it's all hockey fights.
Yeah.
And then I
still
follow another
the
one,
hockey fight pages.
Spittin' Chicklets.
Oh yeah, I follow them.
Spittin' Chicklets is good. Yeah. That's so hockey, so Canadian hockey. Okay.
Yeah.
What's next? We got more YouTube questions?
We've got a ton of YouTube questions. In fact,
Roll with them.
All right, so
Let's roll with another one.
man,
This is technically our Q&A episode, right? This is supposed to be Q&A anyways.
Yes. Well, they both kind of.
I like how we've.
Yes.
I like how we answered one. We took one.
Yeah.
We don't even know what we're doing anymore.
Hey, just a comment.
It's a new
here
year.
from
It's
Comfy
still
Sweats, who's Canadian. She's one of our longtime listeners. She says it'd be crazy awesome to get Kuba and Jamie in the same podcast in 2023. We could make that happen. We can do 5 people.
We could make that happen.
Yeah.
That's easy.
There was another one here. Where was this? This was such, I think, a good idea. It was directed at Ron. How about this one? What do you think of this, Dusty? Show idea. 20 things that make Ron say, "F that guy."
Yes. And I can think of so many because I've actually made Ron say that to me at least 20 times.
Yeah?
Yeah. I had a Ron moment today.
Yeah.
I had a Ron moment today, but it was different. I was saying "F that guy. And the reason was I pre-ordered my sandwich, my glorious sandwich, and they left off things on my sandwich. And I thought to myself, F that guy, A, and B, for once I agree with Ron because this sandwich sucks.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a tough
There you go.
situation.
You know, I had a fuck that guy the other day. I'm
Yeah?
not kidding.
Nice.
You know who gets it from me? When I'm driving and I want to get into the turning lane, which is wide open,
Right.
but I can't get into the turning lane because the guy in front of me is just sitting at the red and he's got like 5 feet of space before the next car.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
That
he's
guy.
oblivious. F that guy. Like,
Yeah.
be aware. Like, how are you not aware that you're right beside a turning lane? Like, when I pull up in that spot, like there's 4 cars at the light and you're the 5th car and you're kind of going to be the guy that blocks the turning lane.
Yeah. Give him
Yeah.
space.
Like, I'll actually pull over to the dotted line. Like, I'll take the top corner of that spot
Yeah.
to try to get my ass out a bit. Like, I'm aware of other fucking people on the road. Like, that's a thing. And then this person, like, I'm sitting right on their ass. I'm inches from their bumper and I can't get by them because I need like another foot, right?
yeah.
And I'm just staring at the side of their head. They do not look in their mirror once. Like, they're just sitting there like who sits there like this?
You don't
just
give them
a-
like the little
not-
tap, like deet deet, meet me.
Oh yeah, well, that's when they get the honk. They get the honk, and
Yeah.
then there's not even a flinch.
Wow.
Like, not even a flinch. Like, there's no awareness that honks for them. And then the light turns green and they move a bit, and I'm just like, "F that guy."
Yeah. He's in his own little
agree,
world,
yeah.
wasn't he?
Yeah, F that guy.
Yeah.
Okay, we got one. We got one, Dusty. It didn't
I
take
feel
long.
good about this. There we go. It didn't. It never does.
All right.
Ron is the happiest angry Canadian. Anyways,
But that's what F that guy affords me to do, is let it go. I just give him a
true.
"F that guy,"
Yeah.
and just
you
let
move
it
on.
go. Let it go.
So
You know,
that's it.
he'll get his.
some talk about
Life
Nick
will
Walker.
get him.
That's what we had next here. Question for the next show, please. If you were coaching Nick Walker, how would you fix his lat spread poses? He may have been second place if he could have won 2 poses for points. So I didn't think, I mean, was there a lot of talk about his lat spreads?
No, I didn't think there was any talk about them.
I have a great response, but I want to see the pictures first.
Yeah. So here's a rear lat
Yeah,
spread.
did he do something I'm not aware of?
Yeah, give me a minute and I'll be able to pull a front lat spread up too. But do you guys see anything wrong with that? The rear lat?
Well, I
Isn't
mean,
as
I'd have to see him
open
in
as it
person.
Could be.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I mean, is that how his back looks fully open, or is there more room? I mean,
I don't see a front
Yeah.
lat here.
the traps appear to be pulled pretty tight, so that's a good sign the scapula are as far apart as they'll go. I don't know. I would, I'm not going to criticize. I mean, it's fucking crazy muscular, striated glutes, shredded hamstrings, fucking, 285 pounds. I mean,
yeah. Could he press it? I guess he could press it open more. Like if he pushed his spine out more, I guess.
Well,
I don't know.
Well, I mean, I don't know if he's going to like looking at a picture without physically being there. I don't know if he can look wider. Like, how you might move a guy and then you're like, oh, you don't actually look wider. Move back. And then you move him back. Right. And then you move him another way and you're like, oh, you look wider there. Like you're trying to make it dramatic. Right. So, I mean, first of all, I don't see Matt Jansen standing in front of him in a hotel room and watching him do lat spreads and not saying something if there's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that.
So I have a few simple thoughts.
Okay.
My first is no one is beating Derek Lunsford in a lat spread.
So you're not going to beat him in that pose anyway. So that's another thing. The question isn't going to happen next year or this year.
Yeah. So that's the one thing. And then the big thing I was going to say without even seeing the picture is this. I used to think about this with Ben Pekulski, right? People are like, he's got no back. He needs to do more rows. He needs to do this. I'm like, do you think that he hasn't done everything he could possibly do to make his back better? Now, so when I see this, regardless of any other thought that I can come up with, this is the best his lat spread can be in this moment, because there's no way, like Ron said, that between him and his entire team that they just left a pose and that they could have just quickly fixed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I also think that guys lose track of the fact of what this level is. Like, I kind of find it funny to be picking apart the guy who took third at the Olympia and be like, well, the lat spread's a little weak,
For sure.
It could come up.
For sure.
It's anything that can be done is being done. And I don't think that there's anything that I would suggest, even if I had greater knowledge. It's just, there's no way. And one thing that Ron said that I agree with 100% is sometimes people want to change things out of habit without watching. Like, I remember I hired Kenny Wallach to do my posing, and I hit my lat spread, and my rear lat spread is just a lights out shot. It always was. Pretty much there wasn't anybody I was worried about in that pose. And I remember Kenny started messing with it. He's like, oh, pull your elbows forward more. Pull them forward more. I always get better results with this. And I literally just said, Kenny, I'm like, no one's ever beaten me in a back lat spread in my entire life.
Yeah.
Why are we fucking with it?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I think you have to have some of that in your mind as well. Whereas if it was, for me, any other shot, I was like, fix it all. They're terrible. Any advice you have that you think could get a little bit better, I'll fucking take, because I need every centimeter, So that is the best way for Nick to hit that shot in my mind, because it's the only way someone that's obsessive as him would hit it. It's the best possible way.
Yeah.
I had to pull up Derek too, just because I wanted to see it now. That is a pretty lights out shot. That is a crazy shot. By the way,
that's also that pose, because I've seen him on stage. That's not all the way open yet.
Yeah.
It gets bigger than that.
I think he was wider than that.
Like, he's not all the way open there. He's just that good.
Let's see if they got a picture of it. It might be on
That's
the
like
next
three
page.
quarters, dude, for real. It's bonkers when he hits that shot. Some of this front and rear double, though.
Let me grab the last one. Let's see if this is any different. Let's see if this is any wider here. I'll put them up side by side, actually. So this is right before he stopped this pose and went to the next one. It's more or less the same.
Yeah, he's It's actually is better, but he's nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
It's close, but very good.
There's my point on the shot, is it's just nuts.
Yeah, he looked really good. Anyway, yes.
Okay.
Toit like a tiger.
Yeah.
Hey, what's next?
All right. Jerry says, now that we see two guys from the 212 division come in first and second in the open division, what are your thoughts on how well Flex Lewis would have done if he had competed? That's a great question.
Great question. I saw it because I looked through the YouTube comments and I saw that comment and I was like, that's a fucking good one. I actually thought about that when we were watching the show. and it was like Derek and Hadi, like, and I was thinking they should be top 2. I was like, man, if Flex was here, that would be fucking crazy.
It would.
Because I would fully expect, and it's not even remotely far-fetched to believe that what Derek did going from being a 212 guy to being like 235, I fully expect Flex Lewis to do, he would have done exactly that, at least. Like he would have been in the 230s as well.
Yep.
So you would have expected to see the same, think of the step up Derek made scale wise on size and everything. That would have been the case with Flex as well. And he was beating Derek in the 212. So, does that put Flex battling with Hadi for the win at that point? Like, I would not find that far-fetched at all. Go look at the pictures of Flex Lewis at his last Olympia. Just take the back double, put it between Derek and Hadi.
Yeah.
It's
without
belongs. Completely belongs. Like, and that's at a low weight. Like at 212, he belongs between those guys in a call out. So who knows? It would have been really, really crazy. Can you imagine if the top 3 were all guys from the 212?
It'd be wild.
So here's another question that makes me think of is, do they regret not letting Clarita do the Open now? Because I still don't understand what the reasoning was behind that, and I guess I never will because it's just fucking dumb. But like, what are you suggesting? He couldn't have hung? Because 1 and 2 went to 212 guys that were open. I understand the difference, but we've also been over 1 million times. Then why didn't Clarita look small next to Regan when he beat him?
Right.
Yeah.
The dimensions change that. Like you just said, Ron, you put Flex up there when he was 212, and he can stand with those guys when they were 235. So, that's the same case. So I don't know. I really hope that they change that because the fans want to see who is the best. Kind of brings back the idea, which if you'd have told me this a year ago, I would have laughed at you. But it does bring back the question, go back to the old days and say, okay, now the best 212 go stand with the best open. Who wins the whole thing?
Yeah.
Right.
That'd be crazy. I'd like to see the 212 versus open at the end.
Or at least the winner, or maybe that's the new thing. The winner of the 212, since it's the night before, can do the open tomorrow if he wants to.
Man,
why not?
To see that.
Me too.
I'd love to see it.
I don't know. Like, I think you got to make it. I feel like this is the only thing that bodybuilding doesn't do well in comparison to other sports.
That's the special invite. That's the special invite.
When you got to do it in a way that makes the sport exciting.
Right?
I mean, that makes it exciting. And think about hockey and all. I mean, Ron, I don't know how much you keep up, but like they altered the game because the world changed. The athletes got bigger, the rink's the same size, the goalies' equipment got bigger. Like, okay, what do we got to do to make the game better? And I'm going to use that with quotes. I don't think it's necessarily better now, but they've altered it. If you could make the Olympia exciting where it's like, holy fuck, now so-and-so is in the Olympia tomorrow. I mean, it's like when you turn pro and you get to do the show the next day. Like, sure, you're at a disadvantage. I mean, A, you're the new kid on the block. B, you just competed yesterday. But no one says no to it. Everyone's like, fuck yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. Like, let's do it.
Yeah.
So I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it. And I think that Flex absolutely would have been in the top group right there. And I'm a big believer in betting on the jockey. I have a hard time just saying Flex Lewis wouldn't win anything he does. I mean, if he was getting into real estate, I'd be like, well, I think I want him to be my agent because he's going to be fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like, winners win.
Yep.
All right.
There's that.
Got one from Joe here. He says, question for the next show. I've always felt my joints fail before my muscles do when pushing to failure. I've gotten a few nagging old sports injuries and little girl joints. I spent a long time pushing through joint pain, swapping exercises and messing around with volume and frequency. Am I missing something? I'm only 30 years old, but I'm definitely it's not definitely getting easier the older I get. And he says, thank you, OG fan of the network and the show. Thank you, Joe.
Huh. Well, a couple things come to mind. First of all, he's only 30. So that's a little young for like, nagging joint pain to be hindering you in a whole bunch of ways. So he really, should attack this problem. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know what he's doing. Like, does he need to stretch a lot more and increase his flexibility and, take pressure off his tendons and ligaments and, open up his ranges of motion and all that sort of stuff? Is it as easy? Is it something like that he has to do? Or like, what sport did he play? Like, does he have no cartilage left in anything? Like, what was he doing? I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what to say, but like having joint pain is definitely going to hold you back. Cause I mean, that's when your body stops firing muscles, right? If there's joint pain, then less power gets sent to the muscles around the joint and you lose strength. And so you can't really train, even trying to train through joint pain. That's why it's not smart. Cause it's, you're fighting your nervous system. It's just, I don't know what to say to the guy.
It's hard without seeing him train, and because it's a blanket. Like, I mean, the way it's written, every single joint in his body is an issue. Which, right. I'm not saying it's not possible. So the first question is for me would be, do you have that joint pain when the weight's lighter? Like, are you reaching a point where you need to say to yourself, okay, I can't go above X weight, but I can still take that weight to a higher intensity. Or is it something as simple, like something that drives me crazy is I literally heard this in the gym yesterday. Kids doing press downs with a straight bar. And he goes, this hurts my wrist. And I'm like, why are you doing that? And he's like, well, because it hits the tricep different. I'm like, no, it does not. That's absolutely wrong.
Yeah.
Like, change the handle.
You like different handle. Use a rope. Use whatever. Put your wrist in a comfortable spot, and the elbow will bend and straighten. That is a tricep movement. It is fine. So that would be my argument here too. Like, maybe he needs to get completely away from barbells. Maybe the freedom of dumbbells will help, because it's going to allow your body to move in a more natural place for you. Maybe machines are a good way to go. Maybe, I loved when I was having shoulder problems, I really started getting into all the machines that had cable options, like a cable shoulder press, a cable bench press, because I still got constant resistance, but my one arm could move a little differently than the other, so I could stay comfortable and just focus on the muscle. And that's the last thing, is ask yourself if you're feeling the muscle that's intended. I feel like that's a big thing people miss when they're starting to get into progressive overload. They're just moving weight, or even on the negatives. I was just explaining to Nikki yesterday, we're doing like real slow negatives on a leg press. And I said, now make sure when you're going slow, you're not just going slow. Do you feel your quad being what's resisting the negative? That matters. So a lot of questions to ask yourself when you're doing these movements and feeling that pain, because something has to be off more than just my joints hurt. Yeah, right. No matter what you did as your career before, unless you were, I don't know, doing junkyard crashing cars, I don't imagine every joint in your body is. So,
or unless you play football.
Yeah, valid.
I know that like my shoulder will be out, it'll be off, and I'll get shoulder pain if my pec minor is too tight.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, I wonder if he's got any of that going on. He could maybe, what if he went to like a really good practitioner, like a active release technician, fascio stretch therapist, FTS. That's what I've gone to. And then I've learned that's where I learned that from. And it's like, so I've been dealing with all this freaking shoulder pain in that bicep tendon, but it's because my pecs are pulling me forward, and it's been doing that for years. You get that loosened up, and then you figure out how to keep it loosened up yourself. And guess what? I don't get it. But if it starts coming back, then I know what I need to do to correct it. Yeah. You guys are right. Like at 30, he's way too young to be getting like immobilized yet,
Yeah. Yep.
Kind of related, I would call this one from Reed Parker. Related, unrelated. I like this question.
Look at us talking about training. Multiple questions in a row.
Weird.
We got a bunch more that aren't related. So here we go. Donna got upset by that one. I train to mechanical failure every set. Form breaks down, reps slow down immensely, and don't happen at the end of the set. So it is true failure, but I feel like I don't train hard enough. I don't have a training partner, so I'm not doing forced reps, but I do utilize drop sets, rest pause sets in every workout. Is the feeling of not doing enough something you've ever experienced, even though you're achieving muscular failure?
Yeah, I think part of the battle in the gym, I always wrestled with, like, what was the perfect amount of volume? Should I do another set? Like, maybe I shouldn't. And there'd be periods of time where I'd be making good progress, like seeing the logbook go up, all that sort of stuff. So it's a little easier to end your workout.
Yeah.
Because if let's say you did 6 working sets last week, and then this week you did 6 working sets and you got PRs you like went up a rep on two of your sets or whatever. And you're like, oh, well, I'm not going to change anything. I'll do the same amount of volume. And then the next week you come in, you go up another rep on a couple things. You're like, oh, there's no, but sometimes then you have a workout where none of your reps go up. That happens. And you think, should I do some extra sets? Like, there's always that little voice in the back of your head that's like, do I do another set? It was always kind of a tightrope I walked. Did I train hard enough? Could I have trained harder? I guess, I don't know. I guess there's a little bit of that overachiever on your efforts. But it's not a Navy SEAL workout. People say, oh, well, like I've heard people say bodybuilders don't train that hard. And I'm like, well, what they're doing is really hard, but they're doing a certain task. Like, they're taking sets to mechanical failure to cause a muscle to grow. But yeah, they're sitting on a bench for 3 minutes between sets of leg press, which to someone who's maybe like a Navy SEAL, where they're like, oh, swim 5 miles, run 10 miles, like that sort of, they're like, oh, well, that's harder. I'm like, yeah, it's harder, but it's not the same thing. Like, if the goal of a workout was just to kill you, then you would superset everything and do 20 reps on everything and just drive yourself into the ground. If that was the goal, that's not what makes a good bodybuilder. So just because you're not dead doesn't mean you need to do more. Like, we talk about training hard. We talk about putting everything you got into it and not leaving reps on the table and all that. But, we're not literally on the ground, unable to move every workout. That's not what training hard is. Training hard, you leave the gym with your bag in your hand and you walk to your car and you drive home. Like, you're okay, like, just because you're not dead every time, it doesn't mean you didn't do enough. I don't know. I understand the mentality is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think what you nailed was with the logbook, Ron. Like, it does make it easier to, and again, I always have to say this: don't just beat the number the same way. So the reps need to be the same, the tempo needs to be the same, all those things. But assuming that's right, it does make it easier to walk out. And I always hated the word hard. Like, did you train hard? Because it's a loose subject. Like, well, what the fuck does that mean? Whereas I did enjoy the fact that I could say, that is the best set of squats I've ever had in my life. Black and white. Yes, that is the best I've ever done. Walk away. Or it's the best in this blast or whatever it is. And it does make it easier because, to answer his question bluntly, based on what he wrote, no, you're doing everything you can. Go home.
Yeah.
And then ask yourself what's happening with your body. Yeah. Everything you wrote tells me you're nailing it, and there are those days where I'm sure we've all had those days where you feel extra smoked and you don't really know why. It's the same workout. And then there's other days it feels like there's gas in the tank, but you did everything. It's time to go home, So I do think that's the overachiever mentality, but that's why the logbook always helped me, because, like Ron said a million times, I love a scoreboard in life because it's very blatant.
Yeah.
Was this better than last time? Yes. Good. Go home. Was it worse? Yeah. Yes. Go home. You still go home, but you locked in, and it allows you to make sure you set up for it. Because I think the one intangible is how people approach their workouts. Like I'm going to even use the word stress leading into a workout. Like, holy shit, last time I did this was the best I've ever done, and I got to beat it. I would think about it all day.
Sure.
And then get to the gym and read it. And then before the set, like if there's a rest pause, I'm like, okay, I got 7 last time my first attempt. I need 8 this time. Then the next one, I need this. And then, you know what I mean? It was that much. So by the time you were under the bar, you were so locked in. Whereas I think when you just go to the gym to train hard, maybe sometimes you're not quite as locked in. I mean, you're not obsessing over that set.
Right.
You know, I know Ron has said he's racked the weight before and started thinking about next week, I got to beat this. Like, just put it on the bar. He's writing it down and thinking, son of a bitch, 7 days from now.
Yeah. I
got to beat this, And I think that's what can be missing from working out hard.
Yeah. And also too, like, guys who train really sloppy with, shitty form and stuff. They can train, though. Some of those guys are training super hard because they're literally wrestling with weights that are too heavy for like all the movements they're doing. You see the guys with like the partial presses, they're using dumbbells that are way too heavy, and it looks like it's really difficult to do, right? Like they're handling the dumbbells that are too heavy. They're kind of rickety. They're doing the half reps, and then they're on the pec deck doing like half reps with the whole stack. And their effort is off the chain, and they're actually like training really hard, but it's like so much misguided effort that's inefficient, so you have all this like wasted energy that isn't actually going to get them results. And they might get like we've seen some guys get results for like a crazy amount of time doing that sort of stuff. But most people don't. Most people just start to get like sore elbows, and, most mortal people just start to develop problems. You know what I mean? But they're training really hard. So yeah, Dusty's right. Hard isn't everything. There's more to it, but logbooking helps. That's how you find out.
All right. What are some tips or supplements you've used when you're sick to get back in the gym quicker? I got a bunch for this one.
Me too.
What do you got?
So my first is simple, which is get better.
Yes.
I think that's the weirdest thing to me, is this rush to get back to the gym. If you get to the gym early, your body's not there to train. It's still trying to get better. Like, it is a enormous mistake to make your obsession, how fast can I get back to the gym? Like, I literally, even in my best point of bodybuilding, I almost used the word prime, but at my level, there really wasn't a prime.
Oh, come on.
But when you were at your very most focused point, like, I would still say to myself, okay, even if I can't eat my food, I'm going to get food down, whatever it can be. Like, literally, my obsession switched from bodybuilding into getting better. That's my biggest answer. Like, I literally just focused on getting better. And even if it meant I ate whatever, some magical bullshit soup 3 times a day, fine. Because as long as the day I was better, I woke up and felt good, I was ready to get back to work, ready to get back to eating. And that's the best way to go. I feel like, and I know Ron has pressed on this many times, even on his Q&As on his page, like, there's this fear of like missing the gym for a couple of days. Like, it's all going to melt away. Like, just get better. You'll be fine. If you were gone for 5 fucking days, I mean, I just did it. I took 5 days off leading into the Olympia on purpose to just take a break, then was sick for 7 more. So I ended up being gone almost 2 weeks. And then I stepped on the scale that morning to see how light I was, and I was 286. I was 285 when I left to the Olympia. I'm like, oh, it's fine.
Right.
And I went to the gym and trained, and I was just as strong as I was 2 weeks ago. Like,
nice. So
my answer to all the secret supplement is relax. You're sick. Get better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am not a fan. Well, I want to say they do nothing, but I'm not a fan of. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the guys that like I'm just they don't give their immune systems enough credit. Like, like, oh, going to Vegas, gonna go get my vitamin drip. I'm not like always into that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I like going to fortify myself before the trip. I'm like, oh, either you got a good immune system or you don't. Like a little late to like, it's not like doing that once. I could see long-term.
Right.
Like it's the
week leading in.
That's not how it works. Yeah. That's not how it works. Like I bet if you did one every week, like, I don't know what the studies are, but if you do one every week, do you have a better immune system? All I'm saying is I'm not sure that one time, like doing it the one time is enough to like fortify, you know, I just don't think it works that way. Does anybody out there have any science on if they can prove that wrong or not? Yeah.
Well, you do build your immune system with certain vitamins, and they've proven that, you know, with the that's been going around the last couple of years, that's caused all that stuff. And
well, vitamin D was one of those, wasn't it?
Yeah, vitamin D is a big one.
Yeah.
And
I take it every day for years.
And you know what, too? I think that bodybuilders should get their vitamin D levels checked. I had low vitamin D after I competed for, like, remember we were talking about what was the longest time you ran trend? That was a long season. I dieted for like from February through November. And so I'd been running gear on and off for a really long time. And after that, I had like a lot of fatigue and I couldn't figure it out. Eventually I figured out it was my vitamin D. It was, you know, gear will reduce your vitamin D levels. And so a lot of us, even if we're taking like 5,000 units, it might not be enough. So for me, I need 10,000 to get like a decent level. But having just caught it again, like that was one of my big fears too. I was like, I had such a bad experience 2 years ago. It screwed me up. I still can't breathe right. What if I were to catch it again? So lo and behold, I catch it again. And this time now we have so much science, so much understanding about it. I megadosed the D. Now I'm not going to suggest that anybody does this. But this is not just me making it up. 100,000 units for 3 days straight. Like that's a lot of vitamin D. You know, plus 1,200 NAC. NAC is so good at helping our immune systems with this, and it's such a great antioxidant that the government wants to turn it into a drug. They want to reclassify it. And they're fighting to do that right now.
It works too good.
It does,
and we're too healthy.
Yeah.
If anyone's confused on how mad they want us weak, listen to this conversation.
Yeah, it's really the truth, man.
And they'll guise it all in, oh well, it's so powerful, we need to protect you from reckless use of it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what they.
Because there's been so many NAC overdoses recently. I've heard them all over the news. Yeah. Another kid bites the dust.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So now, is there anything like in those drips or anything where just the one good hit is enough to actually make your immune system better?
I bet you that if you were to get sick and you were to hammer them, I don't know what's in a drip. You know, it would probably have to be a specific cocktail. But if you can bolus dose,
there's a whole bunch.
Yeah, if you can bolus dose the right things, I mean, that could be beneficial. You know, but
I used to do that during prep.
Yeah,
I would do. It was called a Myers cocktail.
Oh yeah.
And then 3 grams of magnesium all at once. They would bolus straight. Like it would hit you and you'd literally feel your body go, boom.
Yeah.
And like, it was, it's funny because as usual, someone explained it to me. So I would just do it when I started to feel really smoked during prep.
Yeah.
Like, when you just feel tired the whole time, not sick or anything, just like you'd wake up and you go do that.
So like how many in a prep? Like, would you do it 10 times in a prep or 5 times?
Oh, no. 2.
Oh,
1.
Okay.
Yeah. Like just when you were like gassed, you'd hit that thing and man, all of a sudden for weeks you were back on fire again. So I don't know if it would have the same effect for like sickness, but it was drastic where you're like, holy shit. Like,
so
you wake up the
I
next
might
day,
have
like,
access.
I'm on a different planet.
I might have access to get some drips done. For like very, very low cost. Is there anything you guys would recommend? Like I know there's like glutathione and all those other drips. Is there anything you'd recommend? Like what's a good one?
I think it depends on what your needs are. You know what I mean? Like if you were to say have, you know, an issue that glutathione would be beneficial, but you know, NAD plus is another real good one, but it like if you needed it, you know?
Right. Okay.
This is a look at my morning supplements for the last. This was for like the three days. Here, I'm bringing it in right now. This was my morning.
That's the 3 days.
Yeah, that was like for 3 days. This is what I took every morning, along with the over the counter stuff to the left. Amino Asylum. Use our code THINK. They're BPC 157 for inflammation with the bug. is super beneficial. So I ran that. I found that L-carnitine was super helpful in my recovery from brain fog. So I figured, well, I better keep running it while I catch this thing again. And then I felt the same way about cardarine. Cardarine really had helped a lot with the brain fog and energy, and just, I think there was like some issues with like mitochondrial function, and that's what screwed up my lungs, and things that improved that. L-carnitine, ubiquinol at a high dose, like 400 milligrams a day, and cardarine have all helped me to be able to breathe better. And then all the over-the-counter stuff too, like high-dose vitamin C 3 times a day, fish oil, the vitamin D. But anyway, it bounced me back real fast. Like I was concerned, but I think I still have some like natural immunity. And I wouldn't say that everybody should go out and do that. But if somebody were suffering, along with the other thing I did was they found a lot of science with nasal rinses, because the
the nasal rinse thing was huge.
Yeah. And I'm wondering if, like, for nasal infections and stuff, if people shouldn't be doing that more often, just to get the bacteria and all that out, you know?
I saw one guy, I think he was on Rogan, and he was talking about how if we would have used like disinfectant nasal sprays, and also throat rinses, like disinfectant nasal sprays and throat rinses, that's actually would have been a massive prophylactic barrier for the spread.
So I was using a gargle with an antiseptic 6 times a day, and then an antiseptic using like a saline solution nasal rinse twice a day, and just, you know, flush all that crap out of there. So, you know, anyway, that was what worked for me this time around. But I agree with you guys.
That should all be illegal in a matter of weeks now. So
yes,
don't worry.
Nasal rinses are now illegal. You need a doctor's prescription.
Protecting you from not spending the money so they can make millions. Okay, got it.
Overrated, underrated, GNR as a band, the total history, and then he also adds in Slash as a guitarist and an influencer on guitarists all over the planet. I think you might be a fan.
I also think that Ron is the only one equipped to fully answer this, because I just have an opinion that's not valid.
Yeah. I mean, I know he sort of included the total history in brackets there. Because that would like include, you know,
Spaghetti Incident,
the Spaghetti Incident album, and the Chinese Democracy album, which Axl did by himself with none of the other members, right? You remember? And like all that stuff.
Was that good?
So, no,
okay.
It wasn't. I mean, it wasn't Guns N' Roses. You know what I mean? It's just Axl. There was no one else there.
Yeah.
You know? So, and, you know, they wrote music as a band. It wasn't like Axl was fucking the genius behind it all. You know what I mean? So yeah, but I mean, I just ignore that stuff. The only stuff I listen to is like the first, you know, Appetite, the Use Your Illusions, and then the Lies album they put out. That's the collection, you know, that's the definitive Guns N' Roses collection. And I would say they're nowadays they're underrated. I mean, there's a lot of people that have never really heard anything other than Sweet Child of Mine and Welcome to the Jungle and November Rain, but there's like an enormous collection of really fucking great stuff. One of my favorite things about Guns N' Roses is their early days. There's some live recordings now from the early days, like before Appetite came out, like 86, 87. Because, you know, they do the 25th anniversary release, deluxe edition, and they pin a bunch of like rare live stuff onto the end. So you can go on like Apple Music now and Spotify, and you can listen to that sort of shit. And I just loved them back then because they were like a really really important band, because hair metal was really dominating, like Poison and, you know, the Def Leppard, and like sort of like, let's call it nice hair metal. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? There was nice hair metal.
For sure.
Like, you know, really, really done up nicely, sounds super clean on the records, real, you know, production value through the roof, you know, everyone looked good. And then Guns N' Roses, just like they came out of like the Hollywood strip, like thrash, hard rock, sort of punk rock scene. You know, Duff McKagan's a punk rock bass player. He's a punk that joined a rock band. Yeah. So they had like all this punk influence, and you know, and Slash had so many amazing influences from Hendrix to, you know, the Ramones to all that stuff. So they're like a punk rock thrash band that was kind of like swaggering hard rock Hollywood band, also like Motley Crue, and so they really stood out back then. Like they were like the ass kicking like lunatics, right? Guns N' Roses were like the people that were gonna, you know, do all your drugs and fuck your girlfriend and leave your house destroyed, you know. And that was the band, and that's what they were back then in the 80s. And like I love that era of GNR.
This is why we didn't answer, Ron.
Yeah,
because we don't have to. And
there's a great documentary.
Your favorite line at the very end where you go, "But I don't really know much about them."
Yeah.
But I've watched the Slash documentary. There was one I can't remember if it's on Netflix or like Amazon, but there's one. It's just called Slash, and it's just about him, and it's great. It's really good because like a lot of people don't realize where he came from. He grew up in Hollywood. His parents were in the music industry, so he grew up around musicians his whole life, and he was in the music industry. And so, you know, Slash grew up like around that. That's no surprise that he became a rock star. So
that's awesome.
All right.
And he used to ride BMX. Slash is into BMX.
I just like when somebody asks a question that I want the answer to, because then I just get to enjoy the answer.
Yes.
There's footage of Slash on a BMX bike too. There's footage of him.
Oh yeah, there is.
Yeah. There's old tour footage where he's on a BMX bike ripping around the parking lot of the tour bus, like having fun on somebody's BMX.
You know what? I thought I remembered that, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember seeing that. And then I was like, no, I just remember Ron telling me that once before, some time ago. And it's like, this is where I get my BMX knowledge.
In the documentary, yeah, and in the documentary, he talks about like just riding his bike around Hollywood with his friends, like they lived on their bikes, you know.
That's cool.
Pretty cool.
It's awesome.
All right, got one last one because that's all we have time for. It could be a huge one, but I'm sure we can figure out how to make this work time accordingly. Dave says, okay, guys, here goes for each of you individually. What was the best thing, funniest, and worst thing that happened to each of you in 2022? Great podcast, guys. Thanks. And this question is meant for you for next year in 2023. So he sent that a couple days ago.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Ooh. These are hard.
Yeah.
All right. Like, see, best thing is difficult, and I hate this because my answer is going to sound like a cop-out, but it's actually real. The best thing that happened to me, I shouldn't say that happened in 2022, but that I really realized was the realization of things that are happening in the moment now. Like, I'm very, very aware of great moments that are tiny that people miss every single day. Like just silly things that I'm like, I will remember this in 10 years, this moment right here. And I think people miss that stuff because when they're thinking of best things, like for example, you know, an easy answer for someone in my shoes would be like, oh, I bought a new house or got my mom's house, or those things are like, seem like they're ones, but it's not. It's like, you know, I have those. I've had many, many of those moments, especially with Mutant this year, where like I walk out of a situation and I'm like, that was awesome.
Yeah.
That little dinner right there was awesome, or whatever it is.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's my best thing, is just noticing that stuff now, because it happens all the time. And I spent 40 years missing all of it.
Yeah.
So that's the best. What do you guys got for that portion?
I actually really get that answer, Dusty, because I can't imagine, like, when you say what's the best moment? Well, you know, I had a lot of great moments, like hanging out with you in Dubai. It was like fucking so fun. Or seeing Dino in England this year, going to the guitar store with him that one day, and like that was fucking awesome. Like just super amazing stuff that I got to do. Or going to Toronto with Braden to compete at his first nationals, and like getting that feeling, like, because I felt like I did a show, right? Like, you know, got the Airbnb, put the tan on, you know, getting up and looking at him all through the night. Like it was, you know, back to business. It was like, you know, exactly what I love about bodybuilding, you know, going to a show with one guy, you know, kicking some ass, you know, that sort of thing. So like that was awesome. But then we had the 5-year anniversary at the gym and all the appreciation that goes with that. And then we had, you know, going to Dallas with my business partner, Ditto there. I helped him for a Dallas show. That was awesome. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like going down to the Dallas Pro, and there's just too many things. Going to Jamie's gym earlier this year, hanging out in Vegas with the Mutant team. Like there's just too many things, and I'm grateful for all of those things, and they all just like stand out to me like dozens and dozens of things when I think of like the best moment. I can't imagine picking one of them. Like,
oh yeah,
there's so many great little things, and also too, like when I say like hanging out with Dino in England, it's not the being in England part. It was like me and Dino hanging out at a guitar store for 3 hours and playing the drums and playing basses and around. Like that's the best stuff.
Yeah.
Like
for sure.
You know, that's the best stuff. Yeah.
My answer is exactly the same as yours, both of yours. That like, I mean, I did have one really big one, and that is that Victoria and I got married.
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah, you get the little, you get to punctuate.
But it was more than that, though. You know, it was more than that, though. You know, like that was a really cool thing, but just all of it. You know, just like there are so many cool things. And you know what? I had put that episode out about dopamine. And this ties in so much that dopamine is that when we're thinking about the future and thinking about trying to achieve something. And I mentioned you in the conversation, Dusty. I said, I know this guy he's a very successful bodybuilder, and he had this terrible accident and he almost died. And now when he talks about training, his perspective is that he just loves being able to do it. And being able to get in the gym makes him happy. And what it is that when you can focus on the here and now and you can appreciate the moment, you're no longer accessing those dopamine things that make you want to try to get more and get more. You're accessing serotonin and a bunch of other brain chemicals that create happiness and contentment just for being in the moment. And that's what I think you're getting now. The brain shift you've had, you're getting that out of the gym. Or, you know, I got to get that not only at the wedding, but like hanging out at the Olympia and getting to meet all the listeners and seeing you guys interact with everybody. Or, I mean, I got the opportunity to go to England this year and meet a guy I've podcasted with for like 5 years, but never met in my life, you know, and hang out with him, who I'd consider one of my best friends, and just so many cool things that I've gotten to do this year that make me feel like it was a really cool year overall. So I can't pick one either. But if I did,
I think what people should do,
in case she's listening,
if you do like me, if you guys do like me, and you take we take pictures of a lot of stuff, like, you know, just at Dubai and doing stuff. So when everyone was doing like their year in review, I went back and I started to do that, and I didn't do it because there was too much. Like I literally couldn't do a post, but it also made me realize like, like we saw like 5 shows this year. We did 3 vacations, like the amount of things, bought houses, bought more, like the things that happened. I was like, how is that all in a year?
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, my advice to anyone listening now is if you can, instead of having that big thing for your year this year, if you can make sure, for example, I remember realizing when Ron and I were at the Arnold and Jamie came up, I was like, this is one of us. Like this is one of us, and he's been here for an hour. And that we meet people all the time, and cool people, but they're not mutants. They're not going to be with us. You know what I mean? And I remembered that moment. I was like, this guy is one of us. And now you spend time with him, and now his wife. And I'm like, oh no, these people are with us now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of that stuff gets missed by people when they're thinking about, I bought a new house this year. I'm like, I'm glad I bought a house, don't get me wrong, but I'm pretty sure the relationships that I built this year are worth more than the house I bought. And that's something that a lot of people miss when they're living in their apartment. Do you know what I mean? It's that stuff's all there for you too, you know?
I also like to, like, you know, there's certain ways that you think of yourself, and you have to be somewhat in control of how you think of yourself, you know? Like, you know, some people have a negative outlook on themselves or whatever. They look at themselves, they blame themselves for stuff. But I mean, I've watched enough and read enough, you know, between the people I follow and, you know, the old the old, the odd video of Jordan Peterson telling me to clean my room comes through my feed, and you just get all these influences that sort of make you think a certain way. And one of the things I like to think of is what version of me is the version of me that's leaving 2022. How is it better than the version that came into 2022? Like, don't think necessarily about, what you have or what you did, or, is the version of you better? Like, do you have new skills? Do you have new ways of looking at things? Like, do you view things, are you better at handling stress? Are you better at being appreciative? Are you like all those things? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
for sure.
So one of the things about this past year is I'm pretty happy. I think the version that's starting this year is better than the other version of me. I mean, there's some obvious stuff, like I'm a better guitar player. Like I'm a much better guitar player now than I was 4 months ago. Like since I really delved back in, like I've really picked up like a bunch of stuff. I don't know if I'm as good as I used to be. In some ways I might be better, but it's coming. I'm better on my bike. There's a trick. There I think 2 tricks this year that I didn't have last year. So I learned a couple new tricks, so, and then, also dealing with business stress and taking the emotion out of decisions. That's been something that I worked on this year. Whenever a business decision comes up, like, what are we going to do with this piece of equipment? Right. The old me might have been emotionally attached to that piece, but the new me is like, we can get rid of it. See what people think. Bring another piece in, see if they like it. Like, just because I like that piece doesn't mean it stays, because no one else might use it. Like, there might be better spots. So that's just an example of trying to be emotionally more intelligent with like business decisions and all that sort of stuff, and just being aware, also relationship stuff, like, when being more cognizant of when Emily's having a hard day, and being more able to pick up on that she's having a hard day, so you can be more of a contributor to like turning it around. You know what I mean? Just all that, all those little things. And these are little things that I've like throughout the year I tried to work on. I don't know if that's fucking nonsense to some people, but I like to think that way, when coming out of your year, because that's like that. If someone strips away all your money, or you lose this or you lose that, you still have your tools. Like, what are you like, what makes you up? It's how your decision making, your skills, everything. So it's try to improve the version of you this year, so that next year you're, elevated, and you improve again, and then you improve again. I always think like a character in a video game. You're building up your armor and your tolerance to bullshit, and your ability to drive in rush hour, and your patience for idiots, and you're trying to improve your scores on all those things.
I haven't figured out the rush hour part yet.
Yeah.
I still suck at that very much.
My answer is just don't leave the house between 3 and 6 o'clock. You either get to where you're going, or you wait. Yeah.
I know. I agree with you on that. Okay. Where are we? Is that it?
That's
that an
it.
episode?
That's it.
I got doggy problems.
Uh-oh. Ron just got derailed.
Lost my headphone.
It happens.
I got squirmy dog issues. There we go. See, look at this thing. I got this thing on my lap.
Aw.
The whole time. Amazing.
Yeah. Fucking 150 degrees melting my lap.
You're better.
Okay, I didn't hear a word that you guys said. Are we done? Is that an episode? Did we wrap?
We're good. Yes.
That's it. We're done.
Wrapping.
Yes.
So that was one of those episodes where I don't remember it. I don't know what we talked about.
It's all right.
That means it was good.
Yeah.
I think we're fine.
Yeah. We do
I'm
that
good with
sometimes. Okay. It's funny because sometimes we do that, and then that's the episode people message about. Oh, man, I really appreciated that thing that you guys talked about. And I'm like, oh, I don't remember that episode at all. Okay. Remember, like, share, subscribe, comment, and
ring the bell.
And comment with questions for the next show. We need questions for the next show.
Comment with questions for the next show. YouTube questions get preferential treatment. We didn't even do question blocks on Instagram this week because we knew we had a lot of YouTubes. So Scott's on the case, but ask one again. You'll get asked next week.
Yes.
Thanks, everybody. Remember, IamMutant.com. Use your code BigRon20 or Dusty20. And remember the Think Big Bodybuilding Patreon. to help keep all the Think Big Network channels growing and flowing and all that stuff.
Yeah. And
thanks, everybody.
Thank you to everybody who's helping to support the show. You guys are doing a great job, and I really appreciate it. And everybody with the comments, too. And we're almost at 21,000. We will probably be there by the time this show comes out, Ron.
Nice. Yeah, and we definitely appreciate you guys. All your support this past year has been crazy, and keep coming up to us and bugging us and telling us you watch a show. You know, it's always good. I had a younger kid that I hadn't met yet. He stopped me in the gym the other day, and I could tell he wanted to talk to me. So I took my headphone out, and he's like, "I watched the podcast," and I was like, "Oh, nice. Okay, hey, you know." So I like that. Make sure you come up and say something. Okay, everybody, Happy New Year. Let's get better at something, whether it's putting effort into your diet or being a tolerable person to be around. Right, Dusty?
I'm doing my best.
Okay. Remember, everybody, it's just bodybuilding.